Today we are going to see CPC SEA guidelines released on 2015. Introduction. So what is CPC SEA? It is Committee for Purpose of Control and Supervision of Experiment on Animals. So why did they have this committee? To ensure human and ethical treatment of animals while facilitating legitimate scientific research involving experiments on animals. So they want to ensure that the animals are treated humanely and ethically. So the the acts which are related to this committee are the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960 and the Breeding of and Experiments on Animals Control and Supervision Rules 1998. So in this lecture we will be seeing the guidelines on the regulation of scientific experiments on animals, and the guidelines for laboratory facilities will be seen in a separate video. So this guideline mainly focuses on the principles for which should be used while doing scientific experiments on animals and the ethics to be followed. So principle 1, we should use animals for research purposes, for advancement, to improve our knowledge about physiology, or to discover new drugs. And this knowledge which is obtained from doing animal experiments should be useful for saving or prolonging human life or to minimize suffering. And it should help human beings, animals, or plants gain some significant well-being. Principle 2, animals of the lowest phylogenetic scale should be preferred. For example, if we can do an experiment with a rat, we should go with it instead of using a dog. And it should be designed with minimum number of animals to give statistically valid results at 95% confidence. And if alternatives for animal testing can be used, then we should use it. The example is, if these days instead of doing actual animal experiments we are using CAL. So that is what the second principle says. And coming to principle 3, proper use of animals in experiments and avoidance or minimization of pain and suffering inflicted. So whenever possible we have to avoid or minimize the pain we inflict on animals. And if the animal is going to be subjected to more amount of pain, then they should be done under appropriate sedation, analgesia, or anesthesia. And principle 4 is, investigators are responsible for aftercare and rehabilitation of animals after experiments. They can euthanize, means kill the animals, if animal is paralyzed and not able to function independently. And number 2, if the animal has been left with a severe recurring pain. And number 3, if the animal is not terminated, for example, if we do some virology studies or studies with dangerous or microorganisms, and if the animal survives, it would be transmitting the infection to humans, then they should be terminated. And cost of aftercare or rehabilitation of animals post experiment should be part of the research cost. Principle 5 is, living conditions of the animals should be appropriate for their species. And also they should be checked periodically for their health by the veterinarian. The house, feeding and care for all should be taken care of. Veterinary care should be provided as necessary. So CPCA guidelines on specific aspects regarding use of animals in scientific experiments. This is more of a summary. We need to avoid or minimize pain and suffering. We have to give proper care, handling, and use of experimental animals. If we are using animals for agricultural production research, then this framework may not be applied. And the practitioners there would be fully responsible for self-regulation. However, they may be subjected to the acts which we have discussed. So, what are the powers of the Institutional Animal Ethics Committee? So, they can inspect the animal house anytime, and they are responsible for the procedures to be carried out for the approval of scientific experiments on animals. So, what are the functions of Institutional Animal Ethics Committee? They can give permission for conducting experiments using animals. They can they can approve or disapprove for the import of animals for use in experiments, and they can take action against establishments if they violate any legal norm or and registration of the establishments conducting animal experiments or breeding of animals should be given by CPC SEA, and selection and appointment of nominees in the Institutional Animal Ethics Committee is also responsible of CPC SEA, and they will finally approve the animal house facilities on the basis of the reports and inspections conducted by CPC SEA. The other functions include registration of establishment, procurement of animals, making sure the animals are used ethically, aftercare and rehabilitation of animals, and if any violation is there, they have the power to suspend the registration of that establishment. Thank you. The source of this lecture is Compendium of CPC SEA 2018.